Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. At their level, any simple movement was an extremely powerful attack. They simplified everything, and soul skills weren't that important anymore. Di Qian was still standing there, motionless. A black beam of light blasted from his chest, and Elder Xian felt the air in front of him begin to twist and contort vigorously as he pushed out with his palm. A terrifying suction force appeared in the next moment and completely absorbed his palm's force. Elder Xian was startled. Spatial power. Di Qian said plainly, "I have been at this level for several 100,000 years longer than you have. You are still a far cry from me in terms of your understanding in this respect. Even though soul beasts cannot become gods, because we are limited by the god realm, no human in the Doluo continent could ever be my match." Elder Xian grunted coldly, as he placed his palms in a circle in front of his chest. The godly Daotai bull behind his back roared fearsomely, as a dense and material sphere of dirty yellow light appeared between his palms. This sphere appeared very peculiar. Its insides seemed material, but there were separate pieces floating on its surface. Every piece radiated with strange light, and some even seemed like there was water flowing between them. It was Di Qian's turn to be surprised. "You're recreating the continent. Take this," Elder Xian said plainly, "heaven and earth resonance." He pushed his hands forward slowly, and his movement was very gradual, as the yellow sphere slowly rose and flew towards Di Qian at an incredibly slow speed. But right at this moment, a mystical event occurred. The ground beneath them, including Shrek City, the vast plains outside the city, and even the Sun Moon Empire's camp, began to radiate starry yellow light as they flew into the sky. The great earth and everything that the naked eye could see seemed to awaken in that moment, and those dots of yellow light emanated dense earth-type energy as they surged hysterically towards the sky. The Sun Moon Empire's army was already aware when those two formidable individuals rose high into the sky. Zhu Zi arrived outside as her Class 9 soul engineers escorted her. The Holy Ghost Church's powerful individuals also appeared outside with her. When the enormous godly Daotai bull that was 1,000 meters long appeared behind Elder Xian, the first person to react in shock was the Holy Ghost Church's supreme leader, Zhongli Wu. Ultimate Doluo. Xianzi of Shrek Academy's Sea Gods Pavilion has become an ultimate Doluo. Zhongli Wu's eyes were full of shock and incredulity. Evil soul masters did have an advantage over normal soul masters, but that advantage would cease to exist at a transcendent Doluo's level. Zhongli Wu was more than aware of what an ultimate Doluo's appearance meant for them. The Holy Ghost Church's 2 ultimate Doluo were not with them. Typical soul tools couldn't hurt ultimate Doluo. Zhongli Wu felt for the first time that Zhu Zi's refusal to attack seemed reasonable, because Shrek Academy's foundations were truly thick and solid. It hadn't been long since Elder Mu's death, and yet another ultimate Doluo had already appeared. But who was his opponent? Di Qian was just a black shadow, and he didn't show his aura. Everyone from the Sun Moon Empire was speculating who could oppose an ultimate Doluo. Who could that be? Zhu Zi frowned, as she didn't know what was happening either. An ultimate Doluo had appeared in Shrek Academy, and that was big news. Furthermore, he had an opponent, and it appeared like both parties were about to fight it out. That was strange. If both ultimate Doluo belonged to Shrek Academy, then her plan would probably run into trouble. Ultimate Doluo were symbols of eternity and invincibility, so Zhu Zi's camp would probably be in trouble if an ultimate Doluo was bent on causing destruction. Right at this moment, as those tiny, compact yellow spots began rising from the earth, Zhongli Wu's expression changed drastically as he looked on. Zhongli Wu was a transcendent Doluo, and he understood what this meant. Xianzi hasn't just become an ultimate Doluo. He has also grasped his martial soul's true power. This is a cosmic phenomenon that happens when a soul master feeds his martial soul back to heaven and earth. He's using such a formidable attack from the get-go. Who exactly is his opponent? The sky suddenly darkened at this moment. Elder Xian's yellow radiance had lit up the sky, but now the horizon was starting to turn dark and gloomy. A bright dragon roar could be heard as an enormous dragon head appeared from behind the black shadow. This large dragon head was also more than 1,000 meters tall, like Elder Xian's godly Daotai bull, but the dragon head was much more material and condensed, like an actual dragon had descended upon the world. But even a real dragon wouldn't have such a massive size. Shadows flickered as the dragon descended upon the world, and terrifying auras rippled outward. Purplish-black rays of light dripped from the sky like raindrops, and these rays naturally broke apart, after falling to a certain height, into circles of dark purple light. They blocked the yellow light dots, which were rising from the ground, and didn't allow a single dot to rise into the sky. That was. Can Dragon Uncle be here? This is the Black Dragon. Can it be Uncle's darkness holy dragon? But, Zhongli was both surprised and confused, but he quickly realized that this wasn't right, because he could see a pair of golden eyes. No, that's not Dragon Uncle. That's the beast god, Di Qian, the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King, the most powerful individual in the world, the Great Star Do Forest's dictator. It's the beast god, Di Qian. The Sun Moon Empire fell silent when that was spoken. Even though they knew that the Great Star Do Forest's soul beasts would never get involved in a war between humans, the beast god's reputation was just too famous. He was already known as the most powerful individual in the world today. Back at the Mingdo mountain range, the death god Doluo didn't have any advantage at all against Huo Yuhao when he drew upon the beast god's strength through his reverse scale. It wasn't hard to see exactly how formidable the beast god was. But in this moment, that black shadow in the sky was evidently not a projection of the beast god was actually here. It was no wonder that Elder Xian, who was an ultimate Doluo, would give his full strength from the very beginning, and he had to use his strongest abilities to fight him. Who would dare to hold back against the beast god? Terrifying auras resonated through the heavens, and the Sun Moon Empire could feel shivers running down their spines. There was a hysterical voice shouting in Zhongli Wu's heart. The beast god was acting out against Shrek City, so what did that mean? That meant their opportunity had arrived. If the beast god could break the city, then their plan of not staging an offensive was no longer important. Shrek City would undoubtedly crumble when that happened, and nobody could resist that temptation under such circumstances. However, no matter how intense that voice was in his head, Zhongli Wu couldn't say a single word as he stood there, because the overbearing pressure from the sky was filling him with fear. This was pressure from the most powerful individual in the world, pressure from the beast god. Powerful individuals were powerful individuals after all. When the Sun Moon Empire heard that the black shadow in the sky was the beast god, Di Qian, their first reaction was to retreat subconsciously instead of taking this opportunity to attack Shrek City. Juzi's clear and cold voice rang out in this moment. Pass my order, all soul tool fronts, prepare. Charge all long-range linked offensive soul tools and prepare to fire. Her voice was soft, but she announced her orders through a loudspeaker, so that every soul engineer around could hear her. Those soul engineers who were startled and frightened seemed to quiver before they came to. Even Zhongli Wu felt a little shameful, because not even he could match up to a little girl at a time like this. But he quickly explained this away to himself, because the unknowing wasn't guilty. She definitely didn't know how powerful the beast god was. The heavens and the earth transformed into a beautiful and spectacular sight. Purplish black and yellow colors that were filled with dots of energy intertwined and fought against each other, while Elder Xian's sphere came closer and closer to Di Qian. Di Qian stared at Elder Xian coldly. Do you really wish to fight to the death, Xianzi? You should know that Shrek Academy can't possibly defend themselves against those enemy forces outside without you. Di Qian wouldn't participate in a war between humans, but that didn't mean he didn't know what was happening. Elder Xian said plainly, I'm not the one who wishes to fight to my last breath. You are provoking us, and I am Shrek Academy's guardian. How can I sit by and watch? You don't have to be rejoicing at our predicament. How is Shrek Academy's destruction any good for the Great Star Do Forest? The Sun Moon Empire is very powerful. Let me ask you, if the Sun Moon Empire truly conquers the entire continent someday, will they ignore and overlook the Great Star Doe Forest's soul beasts? When that happens, the Great Forest will simply be the Sun Moon Empire's backyard. They will take whatever soul rings they wish. When that happens, not even you will be able to do anything about it. You've got some balls. Di Qian exclaimed furiously as he punched out with his fist. The golden eyes Black Dragon King's shadow roared fearsomely as he punched out. Elder Xian didn't show any weakness at all. His eyes turned crystal yellow, and the godly Daotai bull behind his back charged forward and clashed with the Black Dragon King. Elder Xian had triggered the godly Daotai bull's Daotai bloodline with Elder Mu's help when he last battled the beast god. He managed to swallow Di Qian with his Daotai, so that he couldn't participate in the beast wave, and that bought Shrek Academy sufficient time. But now, Elder Xian had become an ultimate Doluo. It was a pity that he couldn't use his own strength to trigger his Taotier's true power. The collision between them and their enormous martial souls happened at almost the same time. The sky suddenly darkened before light exploded through the air. Frightening soul power undulations rippled high in the sky as all the clouds and mist within several hundred square kilometers in the sky dissipated. However, not a single ray of sunlight peeked through the sky. All that could be seen were yellow and purplish-black colors resisting each other. That terrifying yet magnificent aura shocked everyone watching. Shrek City and the Sun Moon Empire's great army were all watching this earth-shaking sight, but there were very few who truly understood what all that meant. However, everyone was aware that this battle was very important for Shrek Academy. Zhongli Wu arrived quietly next to Juzi and whispered, "When do we attack, Commander?" Juzi shook her head gently and said, "Now is not the time. We'll wait until the battle is decided. We have to wait and see. Imperial Tutor, I wish to ask you something." "Eh? Ask." Zhongli Wu turned towards Juzi confusedly. The War God Empress would seldom ask questions humbly, from what he remembered. Juzi lowered her voice and said, "From your perspective, how large a threat do you think the Beast God is to us?" "He's a very large threat." Zhongli Wu replied almost without hesitation. The Beast God is known as the most powerful in the individual in the world. The Great Star Doe Forest has a cornerstone with him around, and no matter who wishes to hunt soul beasts inside the Great Star Doe Forest, they will have to be very careful. That includes my mother. Juzi smiled faintly and said, "Unfortunately, you already have your 9th soul ring. Otherwise, perhaps this would be a good opportunity to hunt and kill him. If somebody can obtain the Beast God as his soul ring, perhaps that person will take over as the strongest in the world." Zhongli Wu had never expected Juzi to say something like this, and he was momentarily taken aback. Taking the Beast God as my soul ring? Not even he had considered something like this. In other words, unless soul masters were insane, nobody would ever consider that possibility. But that was the Beast God, Di Qian. Human desire was endless, and humans were greedy. Zhongli Wu hadn't thought about that before Juzi brought it up. But when she spoke of that possibility, his heart immediately burned with passion. A soul ring won't be possible. But if I turn part of the Beast God's spirit, and part of his original body into a puppet, avarice and greed chewed at Zhongli Wu's heart like a million little maggots. "Commander, I don't need Di Qian as a soul ring. I would rather give it to the Emperor, if that's possible. The Holy Ghost Church's secret methods, in combination with our soul engineer's most advanced soul tools, can likely preserve the Beast God's soul ring for a long time. The Emperor has already become a titled Doluo, but the Crown Prince hasn't. Furthermore, the Beast God won't just produce a soul ring. He will definitely produce a soul bone. If we leave his soul ring and his soul bone for the Crown Prince shall become the most powerful individual in the world in the future." Juzi felt a tingle in her heart as she listened to his words. But she quickly recovered as she laughed coldly inside. She was trying to bait him, but he turned her words around and tried to bait her instead. The Beast God's soul ring. HMPH, his soul ring may not even be suitable for my son. Only Juzi was clear that her son couldn't possibly have a dragon-type martial soul like Shu Qianran did. Furthermore, Di Qian's element was darkness, while his soul ring would undoubtedly be incredibly powerful. There was a very low chance that his soul ring would be suitable for her son. However, her face revealed eagerness and passion even as those thoughts ran through her head. I'm afraid that's not ideal, Imperial Tutor. The most valuable parts of the beast god are his soul ring and his soul bone. How can we give them to the royal family? If we wish to kill the beast god, we need your support, Imperial Tutor. Zhongli Wu smiled faintly and said, You don't have to be polite, Commander. We'll just take what we both need. I just want the beast god's corpse, and the royal family has no use for it anyway. His corpse will be much more useful if you are to give it to us. Zhu Zi answered without hesitation, If we can really kill the beast god, we will have accomplished a great feat, and we will all benefit. We'll do everything according to your will, Imperial Tutor. Zhongli Wu clenched his fists subconsciously. He knew very well what would happen if he could obtain the beast god's corpse. He only had to preserve part of the beast god's spirit, and he could craft a puppet out of the golden eyes Black Dragon King. He would become the most powerful individual in the world with the beast god's physical strength. He could even rely on this puppet to directly break through to become an ultimate Doluo. But Zhongli Wu was also very shrewd and calculative. He was extremely excited in his heart, but his expression didn't reveal anything as he said, We cannot be hasty if we wish to fight the beast god. We have to wait for the best opportunity to strike, and hope that Elder Xian can severely injure him. The best outcome is if Elder Xian himself dies at the beast god's hands. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone if that happens. Don't worry, Commander. The Holy Ghost Church will not hold back when the time comes. Zhu Zi replied, All right. I will command all the Soul Tool Front's offensive Soul Tools to cooperate with you. Let's just keep waiting. Zhongli Wu contemplated momentarily before he said, This matter is extremely important, Commander. Let me go and make some preparations. All right, do as you wish, Imperial Tutor. Zhu Zi hurriedly replied. Zhongli Wu left, and he took the Holy Ghost Church's evil soul masters with him as they swiftly turned to leave. A faint smile appeared on Zhu Zi's face as he watched their backs, but her smile was charged with cold murderousness. I'll have to wish you good luck then, Imperial Tutor. Elder Su suddenly appeared beside Zhu Zi and asked softly, Commander, are we really helping the Holy Ghost Church obtain the beast god's corpse? Zhu Zi smiled plainly and said, Of course, as long as we can kill the beast god. Elder Su was shocked for a moment before a thin smile quickly appeared on his face. What a fantastic scheme to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The commander lives up to her name after all. She set a trap for the Holy Ghost Church in such a short period of time. This tremendous temptation was undoubtedly the best bait for the greedy Holy Ghost Church. 2 silhouettes separated in the sky as Elder Xian retreated all the way between his godly Daotai bull's 2 horns before he stabilized himself. The beast god's formidable strength was on full display in this moment, as he was just pushed back a little more than 10 meters. Elder Xian's face turned a little red, as he felt his heart pulsing with fear. The beast god wasn't known as the world's most powerful individual for nothing, and his strength exceeded his expectations. When he clashed with the beast god, all he could feel was how deep Di Qian's power was. Elder Xian could feel almost no end to Di Qian's strength, and his frightening strength instantly vaporized his attack. Furthermore, Di Qian seemed to be holding back, and that was the reason why Elder Xian could retreat in one piece. You should be able to tell, Xian Zi, that you are still too far from me. Go, bring Huo Yuhao out. I only wish to ask him a few questions. I won't do anything to him. I don't wish to kill you. Di Qian said plainly. Elder Xian grunted coldly and said, Don't think you've won. He took a step forward as he spoke, and the godly Daotai bull behind him growled deeply. Elder Xian disappeared into thin air just like that, and the bull's initially illusory figure grew material. This was Elder Xian's martial soul true body, godly Daotai bull. The heavens and the earth, darkness and soil were in conflict, but the element of earth's power was being completely suppressed. It couldn't go higher than 100 meters above the surface. The godly Daotai bull's long horns glowed with circles of yellow light, before the bull suddenly accelerated and charged right at the golden eyes Black Dragon King. The bull charged crazily as rolling thunder seemed to boom through the heavens. Frightening explosions could be heard, like the entire sky was being trampled apart. Circles of yellow light expanded beneath the bull's feet and covered the golden eyes Black Dragon King's body. It was controlling gravity, and tremendous gravity tore at the golden eyes Black Dragon King's body in an attempt to arrest it. Di Qian heaved a sigh and said, "Since you wish to die, I will give you a lesson that you will never forget." He turned around as he spoke, and pressed his right hand against the Black Dragon King's head before he wheeled his arms into the air. A strange sight occurred as the enormous Black Dragon King, that was more than 1,000 meters long, began to concentrate towards Di Qian's wheeling right arm like a whale sucking in water. Di Qian's arm had just wheeled over his head when a large sword appeared in his hand. This sword's hilt was 3 feet long, and the blade was 8 feet long. The hilt was black, and resembled a black dragon. The blade was dark purple, and the terrifying sword intent seemed to tear an enormous hole in the sky when the sword appeared. Enormous circles of black light appeared behind Di Qian's back, and it was like a black hole that seemed to swallow everything. The Tang sect members were watching this battle in the sky from their courtyard inside Shrek City. The sword maniac, Ji Juechen, suddenly trembled when he watched Di Qian turn his shadow into a sword, and he grunted as blood flowed from his nostrils. Jing Ziyan hurriedly supported him and said, "What's wrong with you, Juechen?" Ji Juechen shook his head softly, but there was determination in his eyes. Only he knew what had just happened. In that moment, he used his own sword intent to feel Di Qian's sword intent, and that was the reason why that had happened. Such formidable sword intent. Is this the sword intent that belongs to the most powerful individual in the world? His sword intent is his own martial soul, and it's also his overwhelming and domineering will. And that frightening strength. Ji Juechen continued to think as he crossed his legs, sat down on the ground, and started meditating. This moment's revelation was far too important for him. Ji Juechen had been stuck as a soul doluo for a long time, and couldn't break through at all, because there was no way he could form his own soul core. Ji Juechen's cultivation method was different from everyone, and he had to find the path that belonged to him alone if he wished to become a titled doluo. The Dark Dragon's Sword. A purple light formed a powerful beam and slashed downwards. The sky was torn apart, as every ounce of gravity was destroyed and ground into dust. The godly Daotai bull's enormous body was somehow immobilized by the torn-up sky, as it found itself unable to dodge the sword. Following which, the frightening dark dragon's sword was about to reach the area between the godly Daotai bull's horns. Boom! A deafening sound exploded in the sky. 2 yellow glows, which were circulating around one another between Elder Xian's horns, had actually blocked Di Qian's sword. However, the godly Daotai bull's enormous body was now falling rapidly from the sky. It fell from 5,000 meters to 2,000 meters. Because it was about 1,000 meters tall, it looked almost as if it were about to crash into Shrek City. The godly Daotai bull let out a deafening roar, as yellow plumes of clouds separated from its feet and struggled to support its body. Di Qian continued to float where he was as he pointed the gigantic sword in his hand at Elder Xian. His eyes were extremely frightening, as they resembled that of the devil god himself. This was absolute power. The absolute power of the world's strongest individual. Elder Xian suddenly felt powerless. Di Qian had already controlled all spatial power. Most importantly, he had realized the power gap between a second soul core built from the resonance technique and a soul core built from the yin-yang complement technique. The density of Di Qian's soul power was not something his soul power could compare to. The frightening dark aura continued to devour his earth-type elemental energy greedily. However, he knew that he could not retreat. He must not allow Di Qian to disturb Huo Yuhao at this crucial moment. If not, Yuhao might never be able to push past his current bottleneck. He might even die instantly. Elder Xian closed his eyes as the flashback of Elder Mu reminding him of his wishes before his death flashed across his eyes. His enormous godly Daotai bull body did not fly straight up into the sky. Instead, it waited down there patiently. The figure evolved, and the godly Daotai bull disappeared. Elder Xian reappeared as his powerful aura vanished. Di Qian's face revealed a faint smile. In his eyes, Elder Xian was about to give up. If Elder Xian were to even give up on his own martial soul true body, what else would he fight Di Qian with? However, Di Qian started to become worried again in no time. Is Elder Xian really going to consent like this? A primordial aura started to radiate from Elder Xian's body. A low but resonant dragon roar echoed in the sky as a layer of pale yellow flames rose around Elder Xian's body. That ancient aura contained the authority and might of the dragons. Even Di Qian's heart couldn't help but contract under the pressure of that aura. This was not the first time he had sensed this aura. Previously, when the Great Star Do Forest had started the beast wave, he had experienced it firsthand. Even with his power, he was only able to break free from it after a few days. Yes, he was sensing the power of the Daotai from Elder Xian's body. Xianzi, are you crazy? You actually want to fight with your life on the line? Di Qian was both furious and shocked by what he was seeing. I have repeatedly gone easy on you, yet you don't seem to know how to retreat. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? It was usually impossible for Elder Xian to draw upon the power of the Daotai within his blood. However, if he burned his soul power and forced his soul core to release all of his power, it became possible. It was not fatal for an ultimate Doluo to burn his or her own soul power. As long as their soul core remained intact, the ultimate Doluo would have a chance of recovering. However, burning one's soul power was still extremely demanding on one's body. It would definitely take a long time for the cultivator to recover and recuperate. Right now, Elder Xian was burning his soul power as he tried to summon that bit of pure Daotai power within his blood. Because both the Daotai and Di Qian were dragons, Elder Xian could only stand a chance against Di Qian by harnessing the power of the Daotai to delay him from confronting Huo Yuhao. Elder Xian did not know how long he could withstand the furious attacks of Di Qian. However, he knew he had to do what he could to fight for as much time as possible for Huo Yuhao. Di Qian became increasingly worried as he saw how Elder Xian did not plan on revealing anything to him. Now he was certain that Huo Yuhao must be doing something which could not be revealed to the rest of the world. In addition, Elder Xian must know what was going on in order to put his life on the line to defend him. From the balance of interests, this meant that whatever Huo Yuhao was doing was of equal value to the life of an ultimate Doluo. Di Qian was the beast god, and he possessed the domineering golden eyes black dragon king bloodline. Even though he was not exactly sure what was going on, he was certain that this would not be a good thing for the Great Star Do Forest. If not, Elder Xian would not have tried to evade his questions. After coming to this realization, Di Qian was able to toss away all of his former reservations, as a frightening golden glow lit up in his eyes. The soul beasts who were familiar with him would recognize this. This was Di Qian's scariest state. This meant that he had developed murderous intent. The gigantic dark dragon's sword rose once again, as it brought strong winds and heavy clouds in the sky. The dense purple-black clouds seemed to turn the entire world dark, while Di Qian slowly took on a dark purple color in mid-air. His entire body seemed to have turned into the same color as his dark dragon's sword. A mystical sight started to form behind Di Qian's back. A black sun and a purple moon appeared behind him as they overlapped and illuminated one another. Di Qian's frightening aura began to surge once again, at an incredible rate. This gave the surrounding people the impression that the dark clouds in the sky were about to fall and crush everything beneath them. Yang Xiaozhe, Xian Lina, and the others all revealed shocked expressions. This was the real aura of the beast god, the most powerful individual in the world. Is Di Qian about to go all out on Elder Xian? Even with their collective abilities, they felt as if they would not even be able to stand a chance against Di Qian. Elder Xian seemed to be unfazed by the mystical sight forming in the sky. He continued to float in mid-air indignantly, as the faint yellow flame around his body became increasingly intense. A mystical faint figure also started to form behind his back. This faint figure had the head of a human, but the body of a goat. Its head was extremely large. It was the Daotai, one of the 9 sons of the dragon god. The godly Daotai bull's Daotai bloodline was finally unleashed by Elder Xian. The beast god's aura seemed to weaken a little in the presence of the Taotie's aura. After all, the Taotie's bloodline power had the ability to suppress and curb the abilities of the darkness dragon bloodline. Previously, Elder Mu and Elder Xian had to work together to activate the Daotai power to seal him. This was something that Di Qian remembered very clearly. This time around, he was not prepared to let the same thing happen again. He did not know how much more time Huo Yuhao needed to be done with his thing. What if he were to be done when he was in the midst of being sealed? Di Qian let out a cold grunt as he, the most powerful individual in the world, suddenly knelt in the direction of the great star Do forest in front of everyone. He sheathed the dark dragon sword behind him, and appeared to be paying respects to something in that direction. The way he was paying respects resembled the gestures people made in military ceremonies. What is he doing? Everyone was stunned. Could there be someone in our world who is worthy of Di Qian's reverence? That would be unbelievable. Elder Xian was equally startled by what Di Qian was doing. While he was trying to muster his Daotai aura towards Di Qian to suppress his golden eyes Black Dragon King's aura, Di Qian was bowing in the direction of the great star Do forest. Why is he doing that? Unless he has some other motives. At this instant, the color of the sky above the great star Do forest suddenly changed. The sky suddenly took on the 7 different colors of the rainbow without any warning. The colored lights rotated amongst one another as though a god were about to descend from the heavens. When the lights appeared, they were actually able to dye the dense purple-black clouds that Di Qian had released with their colors. Following which, Di Qian's aura transformed overwhelmingly. His aura was originally extremely domineering. However, under the influence of the rainbow lights, Di Qian's aura seemed to become grander and more majestic. When he stood up again, his golden pupils had become silver. Even though the sword in his hand did not change, the 1,000-meter radius around him seemed to have undergone some sort of spatial transformation, as it turned into a silver domain. What is this? Elder Xian would not be the only one who did not know what this was. Even if all the past leaders of Shrek Academy were to witness this, they would also not be able to identify what power Di Qian was using now. The only thing that Elder Xian could distinguish was that this was not Di Qian's own power. He seemed to have borrowed power from some other entity. Nonetheless, what did he actually borrow? While he was still in shock, an authoritative force suddenly descended from the sky. The gigantic Daotai that was behind Elder Xian started to tremble before exhibiting the tendency to bow down to this authoritative force. This can't be it. This was the first thought that entered Elder Xian's head. Back then, both he and Elder Mu had used the power of the Daotai to suppress Di Qian. The authority in the blood of the Daotai, one of the 9 sons of the dragon god, was enough to force the golden eyes Black Dragon King to bow down to it. However, at this instant, the situation seemed to have been reversed. The Daotai was now about to bow down to Di Qian, who was in the sky. How could this be happening? What kind of power did Di Qian borrow? This instantaneous transformation not only startled Elder Xian, but the people in Shrek City, as well as the Sun Moon Empire's troops, were also startled by the sight before them. None of the powerful cultivators had expected this to happen. Even though they might not know how Elder Xian's Daotai should have suppressed Di Qian, they were still surprised that Di Qian was actually able to borrow power from a mysterious source within the Great Star Do Forest. This was a frightening revelation. Was there another powerful individual hidden within the Great Star Do Forest? Or was there some hidden treasure or source of power that no one knew about? Di Qian stared coldly at Elder Xian as he raised the dark dragon sword above his head. Elder Xian discovered that the earth-type elemental energy, which he was supposed to control with ease, was suddenly beyond his control. It was cowering in fear from the aura Di Qian was emitting. It was as if a subordinate was bowing down to his or her superior. How could Di Qian, an individual who possessed dark-type elemental energy, affect earth-type elements? Elder Xian's heart sank as he realized how he would be unable to seal Di Qian even if he were to continue burning his soul power. When Di Qian landed the blow from his sword, It would definitely be earth-shattering. This video will end here.